1 2 1 2. You know what it is. It's your man Skyzoo Skyzoo.
It's your boy Torae, aka Euro Reezy.
We out here with German rhymes. Make sure you log on to germanrhymes.de. You know how they doing it for Berlin and the whole Germany with the hip hop thing. You know.
Peace.
Ja, hi, ist Tom von germanrhymes.de. Heute sitze ich mit einem alten Bekannten und einem neuen Gesicht. Torae, how you doing, my man?
John, how you doing, brother?
Skyzoo, how you doing?
All right.
So Skyzoo is the first time with us here. How you doing? How's everything?
It's good, man. You know, having a good time out here in Berlin. It's real dope. You know, wish I was able to stay around a little longer to be able to really experience the city, but what I got from it so far is real dope.
Sounds good. And how about you? It's not your first time, but you've been here a couple of times.
Been here a couple of times. You know, it's always great. Just like Sky said, you know, when you're on tour, usually it's just like you get in one day and you work. You may get an off day in between, and then it's a lot of work. So you never really get a chance to like experience the city. But you know, I'm familiar with Berlin, Germany as a whole, so it's pretty dope.
You guys played on Friday earlier, and you went to Milan there, and now it's kind of your last layover here, and you're gonna go back. So how's the recap of the tour?
The tour was amazing. You know, all of the cities definitely had their special moments. You know, there weren't any duds, any bad days, any bad shows. It was, you know, whether it was a small spot that held a couple hundred or it was a spot that held almost 1,000, it was always, you know, packed out. It was always a great turnout. Certain cities definitely cranked it up a little more than others, Berlin being one of them, not even just because you're here, but Berlin was one of them where it just felt right. You know, small stage, big crowd, tight people, everybody rocking, sound system was great. You know, overall, the tour was really amazing.
Sounds good. And what was your favorite tour stop?
I guess it would be a toss-up between Paris and London. Paris, I've done that venue. I did that venue last year with Marco Polo and Rusty, and it was packed out. So I figured me and Sky could probably draw the same amount of people, and big shout out to Smith & Wesson, who was also on that bill. That one was really like, it was almost uncomfortably packed out, so that was dope. And then London was ill because it was my first time performing there, and I felt like everybody in the venue was a Skyzoo and Torae fan, so those always make for dope shows.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. You guys got like 2 albums out there now. I'm gonna start with Skyzoo first, and we come back to you. Your album, The Great Debater. Mm-hmm. I saw the cover. What's that about?
Oh, with the Cosby Show. Yeah, well, that was actually a mixtape that I dropped earlier this year. You know, it played like an album, felt like an album, but technically it was a mixtape as far as where it sits in my catalog. And the idea behind the cover, it was just I wanted to do something different that really represented what the tape is about. The tape overall, besides me just spitting and, you know, the goal being just showing everybody that I'm nicer than everybody, the goal with the tape underlying is success. You know, the theme of the mixtape is success, what you're willing to do to get there and to achieve it, and what happens in the interim when you're trying to achieve it. So with that being said, I wanted something that represented and reflected success. And to me, the Cosbys, the Huxtables always represented success where I'm from, because where I'm from is different from that, but it's still in the same area because it's Brooklyn. You know, I'm in Brooklyn now, but it's different from what they lived. So as a kid coming up, I always felt like the Huxtables was a picture of success, and if you could attain that, achieve it, and keep it in, then you made it. So I wanted the cover to reflect that, so that's why I did that.
So which Huxtable are you?
Oh man, I want to be Cliff when it's said and done, because I want the bad wife, the Dr. Money, the dope $500 sweaters and all that. I mean, I got $500 sweaters now, so I'm almost there. But you know, that's the goal. You know, I'm young though, so I guess I'd have to play the Theo role, but I ain't come up like Theo in that sense. But I always, you know, admired what that show was about and what it represented. It always held a place near and dear to me, and still does.
Sounds good. Some there's like a lot of rap artists who refer to the Huxtables and the Cosby Show in general, and some say that it's not always, the life's not always like the Huxtables.
Right.
I mean, how do you refer to that? I mean, like, you come from the perspective that you wanted to be that way. So how's that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, life isn't like the Huxtables for everybody, but I think it's corny when rappers try to take a shot at it and use that as an example. I think that's really corny, because all the show really did, especially when you come from where hip-hop is from, which is from inner city, urban, mostly black communities. When you come from where we from, you should want to have a Huxtables to look up to. You know what I mean? Like, why would you play that? Why would you downplay that and say that it's corny? You know, if you can achieve that, if you could become what they were, being from where you started and where you're from, that's amazing. So that's why I did it. That's another reason. You know, people looked at it like, you hear people try to throw shots at them. The Huxtables is probably the greatest representation of black families in black America on TV, because besides from the fact that they're all black people that live that way, it represents a whole bunch of black people that should want to live that way. You know what I mean? So to me, it's a historic and amazing piece of television. I don't know where I would be without it, real life.
You know, I used to watch it here over in Germany, and when I grew up. But nowadays, I would say there's nothing like the Huxtables. I mean, do you think there's like TV shows out there which could replace them, or is it or kind of go in this direction?
I totally agree with you. I think with television as a whole, in the States, I don't know about over here, but in the States, with television as a whole, the idea of the sitcom is dead. You know, it's all reality TV because it's cheaper. You're paying a third of what it costs to create a show as far as writing scripts, hair and makeup, and casting people and paying people salaries. Whereas on a reality show, you do a casting call, people send in, you know, flip cam videos of themselves acting stupid. You pick 10 people, you let it rock with 2 cameramen, and you go from there. You know what I mean? And it's so much cheaper, and that's why people do it. But it's sad that there isn't another Huxtables or anything like that to represent, you know, what is and what could be a large portion of America, which is Black America.
Would you consider yourself kind of like in a musical way being the Huxtables and then giving out your message, or do you want to that people see you like that?
Somewhat. You know, I think musically what I represent is just a spectrum of everything that we come from. You know, so a lot of my music may feel a certain way, but it aspires to get you to another place. You know what I mean? In my music, I make a lot of references to The Wire, which is another, you know, American show, which to me is the greatest TV show of all time. A lot of my people feel that and see that in it, whereas what I'm talking about may be reflective of that type of world, but the end goal is to hopefully become a Huxtable. If you can go from A to Z with that, whereas you may be in these Wire type of worlds and situations with your life, but if the end result is you becoming a Huxtable on 10 Stigwood Avenue, I don't think there's anything that means more than that. And I think a perfect example of that, at least in hip-hop, is somebody like a Jay. You know, you look at Jay-Z, I always make the example all the time where in Brooklyn, where the Nets are going to play, that's like 15, maybe 20 minutes from my house. So the stadium that's being built, I see it every day when I'm, you know, in the neighborhood or going wherever I got to go. Where the stadium is, if you walk a block away and turn the corner, 560 State Street is right there. 560 State Street is the building where he used to stash at when he hustled, and he said it in Empire State of Mind. 560 State Street, took it to my stash spot, whatever. That apartment building is a block away from where the stadium is. I think that's the biggest representation of going from A to Z, going from one world to another. Like this guy used to hustle over here. Around the corner, he has a stadium where he's part owner of an NBA team. I don't think anything screams success in making it more than that.
All right, so leave it for that right now, and let's focus on you for a sec. Okay. How about your favorite TV shows? Is the Huxtable up there?
Yeah, absolutely. Love the Cosby Show. Favorite TV show? I'm not a big TV guy. I'm not really a big TV guy. I have a few shows that I like in current TV. Of all time, you know, a lot of comedies like Martin, like In Living Color was a sketch comedy show. The Chappelle Show, me and Scott was speaking about earlier. Those are some of the ones that come, you know, off the top of the head. But I haven't been watching TV since I've been on tour, and I'm not like, I don't watch a lot of TV these days. So like going back to my childhood. Oh, and Alf. Gotta love Alf.
Yeah, let's eat some cats. Okay, your album's called For the Record, dropped in November. Are you already? How successful is it already? I mean, for yourself, are you?
I'm here. I'm sitting in Berlin talking to Tom. If that doesn't say success, I don't know what does. You know, I came from Coney Island. I came from a place of poverty, you know, a place where a lot of people aspire to get out, aspire to make it. But I know that a lot of those people's reality is just Neptune, Mermaid, and Surf. You know, a lot of people that were born in the neighborhood, live in the neighborhood their entire life and die and never get a chance to travel anywhere. So for me to be able to put out another project, see it in stores, see it online, you know, be able to interact with the supporters of the music via social networking, be able to come over here and perform and people scream out album cuts, you know, like things like that. That's success. You know, it doesn't have to sell 1 million records in order for it to be a success. You know, for me, just being able to put a project in stores and have people gravitate towards it and support it and it touch those people is a success in itself.
All right. The For the Record has a lot of big producer names on there. I mean, there's Black Milk, there's Crisis, there's... Black's not on there. Black is not on there? Oh, sorry. Then who else on there? Pete Rock, I said. Eric G's on there. Crisis, I already said. Ninth Wonder is on there. Who else? Premier's on there. Premier's on there. Did I forget anyone?
Let me see if I can run it down. It's Crisis, Knots, Diamond D, Large Professor, Eric G, Marco Polo, Pete Rock, Premier, E. Jones, and Fatin. Oh, and
Illmind, of course.
Guys, who's gonna reach across the table and smack me for forgetting Illmind?
And you were on there.
A little bit.
The first track, the intro of the album.
Yeah, production. You know, I mean, that was just me coming together with an idea. I mean, if you call that production, then you could say I co-produce a lot of my own music. I always come with ideas, you know, but I allow the producers to produce. That was just me, you know, kind of orchestrating, producing vocals, if you will. But you know, like I'm not by no means a producer at all.
Would you like to be?
If I was good at it, you know, it's definitely music is something I'm passionate about in a number of different ways. Obviously, I'm a performer. I'm also an A&R for an indie label. I also do a radio show. I also host live events. So, like, you know, as you can tell, I'm definitely fully immersed in the music business. You know, I always say to myself, I wanted to buy an MP. Maybe now with the machine out, you know, maybe I'll get a machine and just toy around with it. And if I ever get good enough to, you know, become a beat maker, you know, before you could be a producer, you become a beat maker. So if I ever get good enough to become a beat maker, then maybe you'll hear some of my, know what I mean, some of my tomfoolery.
So maybe on the next album.
No.
I'm just joking. So, coming back to the big producer names. I mean, how does it feel to have like these names, like which are like highly known names in the rap world? How does it feel to have them on the album?
I mean, it's a dream come true. You know, ever since I was a youngin', you know, getting into hip hop, listening to hip hop just off the love and with no aspirations of becoming an artist, it was a handful of people that I feel like really shaped my listenership or my fanship early on. You know, like I was a huge Gang Starr fan, I was a huge EPMD fan, I was a huge Tribe fan, I was a huge Pete Rock and CL fan, you know, huge DITC fan. So for me to have the opportunity to work with a lot of these guys on my project is a dream come true, for lack of a better term. You know, I just actively been active in the music and putting in work for these last few years, and them kind of seeing that and getting with me and just wanting to create a piece of music, you know, for my album was you know, more than I could ask for. So I'm really pleased at the outcome of the music, and I'm really happy that I can say that I have this project in my catalog with all these incredible producers.
I mean, you checked that off the bucket list, basically.
Yeah.
What's next?
On the bucket list?
I mean, yeah, on the bucket list and like
Right. No.
Feature wise.
Where do I go from here? There was a couple guys that I wasn't able to get on the project. Eric Sermon for one. Just Blaze is somebody I would love to work with. Producer wise, those two off top. But you know, I mean, I have so much. You know, Lord willing, I have a few more years in this, and I have room to grow and go and get with a big crop of other producers, and as well as up and coming and new people as well. You know, I don't ever just, you know, want to hold myself to just working with one generation or one era of people. I like to work with, you know, I got guys like Eric G on the album and guys like E. Jones who are relatively new, you know, and I got guys like Premier and Pete Rock who I'm sure that they looked up to, you know, is coming up as producers. So, you know, I try to bridge those gaps and work with whomever is hot, you know, word up.
So who's out there for you?
As far as producers?
Yeah.
Oh, man, well, you know, all the people that Tour named, you know, we kind of have relationships with a lot of the same producers. You know, I've worked with Just Blaze, Ninth Wonder, obviously, who's like my big brother, Illmind, who's like a brother to me, Black Milk, and, you know, the whole, you know, run of the mill, like Tour named. So I'm always going to continue to work with, you know, those types of artists and those artists in particular because I have a certain relationship with them. But beyond that, I mean, there's a few that I would like to tackle as well as far as getting in the lab with. You know, I haven't been able to work with Kanye yet, so that'll be something that would be great. Pharrell, you know, DJ Khalil, which actually may happen kind of soon. You know what I mean? Jaleel Beats, who just signed to Rock Nation. Me and him got a bunch of records in the can, a couple of them going on the album. So, you know, it's definitely about keeping the sound a certain way, but also changing the sound, you know, within the growth. You know what I mean? With me, it's just about always making the best music possible and growing musically, not just lyrically, but musically. You know, lyrically, everybody knows what I do. Everybody knows how I get down. They look at me as one of the top tier lyricists out, period. And I don't take that lightly. You know, I take that with a lot, you know, with a lot of pride and a lot of humbleness at the same time. You know, I'm humbled by it. So every day I continue to go forward and just write harder and get better and better, and still what I like to call shooting 1,000 jumpers a day. You know, when Mike was winning back-to-back-to-backs, he didn't chill. You know, he didn't go on vacation for, you know, the whole summer. He went on vacation for a week, and then he got back in the gym and shot 1,000 jumpers a day. And that's how I look at it, you know. So it's always going to be that. But at the same time, just musically, the sound is going to continue to grow. You know, I showed traces of that on Live from the Tape Deck, where the sound changed. There was only 2 records on the whole album that was samples. Everything else was original. And then from that, Great Debate, I kind of bounced it a little more. I went back to the samples a little bit, but there was still a lot of records that were unsampled. There was a lot of 808 beats and things like that. And now with A Dream Deferred, which is my new album coming out next year, the sound on that is totally different while still having traces of where everything is rooted from as far as who I am as an artist.
Okay, sounds good. So let's talk about for a sec about you guys' project.
Does it exist?
Like,
I mean,
there's the rumors out there.
Yeah.
So let's comment on the rumors.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about that?
I feel like when you have 2 artists that you appreciate lyrically when they work together and you feel a certain type of chemistry, you know, these songs that, you know, our first big records, Get It Done and Click, these songs mean so much to people. They hold them in such high regard. You know, it was one of the biggest selling 12 inches. It's one of the reasons why we're both over here right now. I think when you have records that impact like that, people automatically want more, you know. But those were arguably the first time you may have heard of Skyzoo or Torae, you know? So we wanted to really establish who we were as individual artists before we jumped in together as a tag team or a tandem or a group. Because sometimes, although, you know, Sky's my brother and I love him to death, sometimes you get caught up in like a movement so quick that you lose your individuality. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Sky wanted that. I don't think I wanted that. So now that we've established ourselves as soloists, and, you know, Sky has an incredible catalog under his belt. You know, I just put out my official debut with a collab album and a highly successful mixtape under my belt. I think now the possibility of us working on something together now is just based on timing. You know, Sky's working on an album now, so I'm gonna let him cook because I want a Dream Deferred. You know what I'm saying? Like I want it bad. And then hopefully when that's done, you know, if time permits and we in the right situations, we can make it happen. But we always gonna continue to work together, be it a song or 2. You know, that's the homie, man. That's like my brother. He's definitely one of the dudes in music, because when you get in this industry, you meet a lot of people. You don't meet a lot of real people. You meet a lot of opportunists, you meet a lot of leeches, you meet a lot of people that are just there because you're hot or you're popping at the moment. But like Sky is somebody that I consider to be family at this point. So, you know, there's always going to be a rapport there. There's always going to be music there. And even if there wasn't there, there'd always be a friendship there. So, you know, with that said, anything is possible to go in the studio and knock something out. Maybe.
I mean,
just to chime in on that too, just verbatim, you know, everything Tor said verbatim. You know, when we came into this, we came into it already trying to establish careers, you know, up-and-comers, rookies, trying to get somebody to hear us, you know, the please listen to my demo phase, if you may, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we had that mutual respect for one another and built that friendship off top, like immediately. And we did the records because, you know, we thought it would be dope. And you know, he asked to get both of us on the record, and we did it. You know, he wasn't going to say no just because we was too soloists. You know what I mean? We did it, and it worked, and it was crazy. And we did it again, and then that just was able to help us spawn separate careers as well as keeping us, you know, aligned with one another as the way we wanted it. You know, we're fam for real. So, you know, it's something that could happen. It's not something where it's not going to happen. I think the thing that happens is, once the rumor got out that someone started on my Wikipedia page of all places, once the rumor got started, whoever that was, good job. But, you know, once the rumor got started, and we started saying, nah, you know, it's not something we're talking about or anything, people took that in a bad way, like, oh, man, they're not going to do it, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, nah, just because we said it's not something that's a reality yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just, you know, if it's meant to be, just let it, you know, over time, it'll come or whatever. I think we got enough records now where somebody could put one together themselves if they wanted. You know what I mean? Like, if you just Googled our names on YouTube or something, you'll probably come up with like 12 records. You know what I mean? So you can just start right there and then let us go from there if you want. You know,
bootleg Barrel Brother mixtape.
Make sure it's free if that's what happens.
There you go. So, what else is there out there you guys didn't mention yet in the future?
Well, you know, For the Record is my current project. That's what's on deck. The response has been great. You know, the feedback from the listeners has been great. I guess the one thing outside of where's Skyzoo, overall was like where the features, but being that it was my official debut album, I wanted to really show that I could put together a piece of work and hold it down for myself. I think a lot of projects now come out almost look like compilation albums or soundtracks where it's just like a patchwork of people working and flying verses and shipping and sending and all that, and that's not what I wanted to do for my project. With that said, now that I have it out, expect a few remixes. There are a couple beats on the album, a couple people that I wanted to work with. So I feel like right now I'm just kind of listening through the album and seeing who makes sense where. So expect a remix project. Maybe not of all 13 songs, but definitely I would say at least half of those, with some of my favorite MCs on them.
You already mentioned a lot of your projects, but your birthday is coming up. So,
look at that.
well, what's happening with that? Is there anything planned yet? I mean, the big 30 is next year, but what's going on?
What are you doing? Industry age. Yeah, next week is the birthday. Word up, Christmas Eve. That was ill. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing. I know a lot of people always talk about wanting to do something. A lot of fans be talking about wanting to do something. Female fans in particular. But I'm in Brooklyn. They all over the map, so I can't really, I can just say I appreciate it on Twitter. But I don't know. I'm gonna just be thankful for another year. Making music the way I want to make it, making a living the way I want to make it. I don't really want for too much right now financially. That's not to say that I don't want more as far as climbing up that ladder financially. Of course I do, but I'm not in a situation where I'm struggling or anything by any means at all. My house looks like a sneaker store, so I'm good. You know what I mean? But just musically and creatively, a dream deferred is really all I'm about right now. There's gonna be some smaller projects before that. There may be some remix stuff. There may be some EP stuff, little things of that nature that just warm everything up for a dream deferred. A dream deferred is probably gonna be the middle of next year, the middle of 2012. A Dream Deferred is phenomenal, man, and I'm only like 3-4 songs in, but I already know where I'm going musically and what's to come with it. So I got about 10 more records to do, but pretty much where I'm going with the music, the things I'm talking about, the direction, and how I'm really formatting the album, I swear to everything I love, man, nobody should drop nothing next year because this will be the album of 2012, like straight up and down. No politics involved, none of that. If you put the politics on the other side of the room and just go for the music, this will be the album of 2012 as far as hip-hop is concerned. So, I'm focused on that right now. But besides that, actually working on a TV pilot that I'm writing. I've always been a writer, so I'm writing a TV pilot right now. I can't get into the details. I know that'll be your next question. But, it's something that the people are going to want and need at the same time, as far as our audience. And that doesn't mean hip-hop. It just means our age and our generation and what we're about and how we came up and just how we think and the culture that we've helped build and that's helped build us. It's something that's going to reflect all of us and something that we're going to want, but more so than that, something that we're all going to need. Like this show I'm planning and what I'm writing, got a few other partners involved with it, but if I can get this off the way I want, it's really going to be something that stands the test of time and that means something.
That sounds very good. So next year when your album comes out, you come back and we're going to talk about the show.
Absolutely, because by then it'll be like somewhere else. So I'll be able to, put the word out. But yeah, definitely trying to come back next year after the album, Dream Deferred Tour and all that. Mind Feeders will be involved with that. So if I'm not here, you can blame Mind Feeders. But they'll be involved with that and, making it happen. They're the reason we out here now. So shout out to Mind Feeders, Danger Dan and Timmy Handtricks and all that,
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Merry Christmas and happy birthday to Skyzoo. Hey. Peace out.